I used to think loneliness was just a word, something people tossed around casually to describe a bad Friday night at home, or the feeling of missing a friend who had moved away. But when you live with it day in and day out, when it becomes the background noise to every morning and every night, you realize loneliness is much heavier. It's not just a word, it's a weight. My name is Emily Carter. I'm 32 years old, and I live in Denver, Colorado. For years, my life had been quiet, too quiet. I worked as a freelance graphic designer, which meant I spent most days at home in front of my computer. The work was steady, but the isolation was relentless. Friends had drifted away, family was scattered across states, and the city that once felt full of opportunity now seemed like a maze of closed doors. When the pandemic hit years ago, I lost the rhythm of being social. Coffee dates vanished. Book clubs went silent. Invitations to birthdays and barbecues stopped coming, and when the world slowly opened again, it felt like everyone else had moved on without me. I would sit at my apartment window in the evenings, watching neighbors laughing as they carried groceries in together, couples walking dogs, or groups heading out for dinner. I smiled for them, but a part of me ached. It wasn't that I didn't try. I joined community boards online. I scrolled endlessly, hoping for some spark of connection. But messages were polite and shallow. Conversations faded before they even began. I told myself it was fine. I had work, I had books, I had movies. But the silence of my apartment grew louder, and the rooms felt emptier with every passing day. That all changed one rainy evening in October. The sky was a dull gray, and the storm outside rattled my windows. I wrapped myself in a blanket and was halfway through reheating leftover pasta when I heard a knock on my door. At first, I froze. Nobody ever came to see me unannounced. My heart beat faster as the knock came again, louder this time, accompanied by laughter. When I opened the door, 3 people stood there, slightly wet from the rain, holding grocery bags and pizza boxes. They were my new neighbors from down the hall. Jacob, a tall man with sandy blonde hair, his sister Lily, who wore a bright yellow raincoat, and their friend Marcus, whose easy smile seemed to light up the hallway. "Hey," Jacob said with an apologetic laugh. "We were having a little get-together, and just realized our oven is broken. Do you, by any chance, have room to heat up some food?" For a moment, I just blinked. My apartment hadn't seen visitors in months. The idea of letting strangers in, neighbors technically, felt strange and overwhelming. But then I caught Lily's grin, Marcus's warm gaze, and Jacob holding out the pizza boxes like an offering. Something inside me, some tired and lonely part of me, said, "Say yes." "Of course," I heard myself reply. "Come in. It's warmer inside anyway." That night changed everything. They stepped into my apartment like sunshine breaking through clouds. Lily immediately complimented the art prints on my walls. Jacob thanked me a dozen times for helping them. Marcus made jokes about the storm and how it felt like something out of a disaster movie. Soon, my kitchen smelled like pizza and garlic bread, and for the first time in years, laughter filled the air. I sat with them at my small dining table, eating slices of pizza and listening to their stories. Lily had just moved to Denver for nursing school. Jacob worked in real estate. Marcus was a teacher who seemed to have endless patience and humor from working with middle school kids. They teased each other like siblings, but their kindness was genuine. When they left later that night, my apartment felt different. Not quieter, but somehow alive, carrying echoes of laughter that lingered long after the door closed. The next day, I found myself smiling for no reason. And the day after, there was another knock at the door, Lily, asking if I wanted to join them for coffee downstairs. I said yes. That small yes turned into more. Coffee runs became walks around the neighborhood. Walks turned into late-night movie marathons. Before long, my once empty weekends were filled with games, conversations, and shared meals. My apartment, once heavy with silence, now buzzed with energy. But it wasn't just about keeping busy. It was about belonging. For years, I had convinced myself I didn't need people, that solitude was easier than the risk of being let down. Yet sitting with Jacob as he asked for advice on a work problem, or listening to Lily share her nervousness before a big nursing exam, or watching Marcus tell stories so vivid that everyone doubled over laughing, I realized how much I had missed this. Human connection. It wasn't about romance. It wasn't about needing someone to fix me. It was about letting people in, literally and figuratively. Letting them bring their noise, their chaos, their kindness into my life. Months passed, and my world grew brighter. On Christmas Eve, instead of spending the night alone with a microwave dinner, I was in Jacob and Lily's apartment, stringing popcorn garlands with a group of friends who had become like family. On New Year's Eve, I wasn't scrolling my phone in bed. I was on the roof, wrapped in a blanket, watching fireworks with Marcus and Lily, our laughter echoing into the night. Looking back, I think about how close I came to saying no that rainy October evening. How easy it would have been to keep the door shut, to keep the loneliness in and the world out. But I didn't. I let them in. And in doing so, I let myself back into life. Loneliness doesn't vanish overnight. There are still quiet mornings where I feel that familiar ache, still nights when the silence tries to creep back in. But now I know I'm not truly alone. I know I can knock on their door, or they'll knock on mine. I know that connection is out there, waiting, if you're brave enough to open the door. If you're reading this and you feel the same weight I used to carry, I hope you remember this. Sometimes, it only takes one small yes, one open door, to change everything. Because loneliness may feel like a locked room, but belonging is just on the other side, if you let it in.